Good afternoon and welcome to the Savannah Resources PLC investor presentation. Throughout this recorded presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and can be submitted at any time by the Q&A tab situated in the right corner of your screen. Just simply type in your questions and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during the meeting itself. However, the company can review all the questions submitted today and publish responses where it is appropriate to do so. Before we begin, I'd like to submit the following poll. And I'd now like to hand you over to Manuel Parentia, CEO. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Thank you, Alessandro. Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to everyone. I'm excited to be here today and to continue this new tradition of regularly opening up a session for retail investors as we progress with Savannah's Barroso Lithium project. Given the events of the weekend and before we start, I'd like to ask for half a minute of respect to the very recent unexpected passing of David Archer. He was the CEO of Savannah Resources from 2013 to 2022. I only personally met him 3 times, but I know that the story of Savannah and of those who are part of this journey for a while now would have been very different if it wasn't for his contributions. So I suggest we use these minutes or this half minute and to remind us that we're all here for a journey of a few decades only, and that we better use it to be good, to do good, and to make our own relatives proud. So please hold. Thank you. So thank you very much for your patience and for the respect. I'm sorry for this, but I think it was important and clearly important for the Savannah team. The plan we suggest for today includes basically 3 steps. So I will update you on the register, share performance and prospects, but also on I will restart a bit from square one for some for who cannot is probably not so much aware of the Savannah story and what we're building. I'll then update you on all of the developments over the last months. I think it's been important months. We've gone through a lot. We've evolved quite a bit in the development of the project. We have now released our corporate accounts for 23. So I think it would be good to go through that, and I will then be ready to answer your questions. So as you go, please feel free to pop them into the chat as we go. I will probably skim through some of the slides quite fast. I hope you don't mind if by any chance questions pop up that will not be answered. We'll try to do our best to answer them afterwards, given that we only have an hour. So let me lead you through what are the main developments at the register, on the register. We have now experienced 6 months of recovery in the share price. You will know that we've gone through a small crisis of confidence in the end of last year. The lithium prices have gone down. We have had our experience with Operation Influencer, with the media backlash that was associated to that. I think we did the right efforts through the period to reinstate confidence and to reinstate assurance that we're doing everything to the best standards, and that paid off. So the share price has come back at a speed that makes us one of the best performing shares, if not the best performing share in the space in these last 6 months. This is good, but it is just the starting point. There's still a lot to be done at the share price, and we recognize that. On the register, there is also a bit of news. The lower share price was probably also used by some investors to come back into the share or to enter the share. We particularly welcome the fact that a few Portuguese investors came into the stock. We now have a new reference shareholder who's Portuguese and is a well-known businessman in Portugal. We have, I know, added a significant amount of other Portuguese investors, and I think that is a good news. I think that Savannah being a bit more Portuguese also at the share price, at the share level, at the register level, is good news. It will support us in the future. It is strategic for us, so you will probably see more news over the coming months associated to these movements. The other thing that should be considered is that there's still a long way to go. This price to net asset value comparison that we do frequently, we have updated it. It still shows that although we have improved our share price quite a bit in these months, there's still a long way to go in terms of getting to an acceptable valuation amongst our peer group. And that's the first development that we expect to progress in over the coming periods. The other one is, as we progress to execution, there is an obvious re-rating that goes along. We also have a few other elements of value that we're working on, so we expect them to ensure that we can deliver more than what we have announced in the scoping study. At least that is what we are working for. So for the three reasons, and given what we have ahead of us and the quality of the project that we have, I would say that there is strong potential for development of the shareholding position of those who are part of this journey, and we will obviously work towards making that happen. I'd like to come back to this slide that I jumped through to remind us of why Savannah is a good project in the right place and at the right time. At the project level, it's Europe's largest, it owns Europe's largest spodumene resource at 100%. This is the lithium mineral that makes Australia the world's #1 lithium raw material producer. It is low technology, a low risk technology. It is quite mature. Our Australian team allows us to make sure that we're bringing the best practices and the best knowledge out of this Australian industry into Europe, and that we are adapting it to European standards. We have our mining lease granted. We have an environmental license subject to conditions, which we're working on, but it is granted. We have a proven technology. We have this Australian production model that we adapt to the European standards. We have robust economics. You will remember the scoping study results that we released in May last year. We stick to these numbers as we go, and they will provide for tremendous value for shareholders as we execute and deliver on the projects. We will talk about the competitive position in the cost curve in the presentation, but it is a good solid one, and that is also important for the future. We are geared for upside, given that lithium prices are set to continue recovering, that lithium demand is set to continue evolving, that we have more exploration potential, and that we are in the geography that is relevant for geopolitical purposes. And that leads us to the place. We are in Europe, serving Europe, and so we will leverage the advantages in all the logistical costs, the risks on CRMA, the CVAM, the battery passport, and many other things that are now coming to execution. Finally, it has taken a while, but they are now coming to execution and a bit faster. And so I think that is also important. The Portuguese government has been committed throughout, actually, the various Portuguese governments. The last Portuguese government was very vocal in support of developing the battery value chain in the country. The new government is now in place and has a lot to do, but it is a pro-business government, and we believe and confirm that we will have continuous support to make these important projects for the country happen. And through these important projects for the country, we hope we will also be a catalyst of further development in the country. This is also the right time. The transport sector and the car production sector is a very important sector in Europe. There is a lot of work to be done there. Everyone in Europe knows that we need to accelerate the pace and that we need to catch up on how much has been done by the Chinese bloc, for example, in the last 10 years. There is clear alignment onto execution, and the fact that we will have the CRMA coming online in just a few weeks' time is clear support for the development of this industry throughout Europe. And we are targeting production by the end of 2026. With that, we are one of the best positioned players to support Europe in this endeavor, in which it needs to go fast, well, and with solid delivery. And all of these make up for this good investment opportunity that we firmly believe Savannah is. For the lithium markets, many of you will be acquainted with this. You will know that the price for spodumene and for the lithium chemicals went through the roof in 22. I would say excessively through the roof, and so we had a kind of hangover in the price in the end of 2023. We are now recovering. We are now close to 50% above the bottom in terms of price, and everyone in the sector and all analysts points towards long-term sustaining price above $1,500. For us, we are very comfortable with anything beyond $1,000. We actually have an NPV0 at $600. So again, very competitive and very much able to deliver in any price scenario. We obviously prefer better prices, but we also acknowledge that excessively high prices, such as the ones that we saw in 2022, are not sustained and should not be considered as the base case for the future. We have seen in the last few months a lot of speculation around the speed and the pace of development of the EV industry. Now that we have a few months of this speculation and these stories, we can all say and see that they are not sustained. The demand for electric vehicles is continuing to accelerate throughout the world, and the European bloc is continuing to accelerate as a whole. There are some adjustments in some of the countries, but there are short-term adjustments, not changes to the long-term perspective. In China, in India, with 2 3-wheelers and electric cars, but also with electric buses. In the US and a bit throughout the world, the electric vehicle adoption is here, will continue to be here, and will continue to accelerate. And at the same time, we have seen confirmation in the last months that batteries and gigabacteries for the support of consumption or modulation of electric systems are upticking. We're also seeing a lot of technology developments in the field, and we're seeing that these technology developments are addressing the main challenges for adoption. And so we continue to be very positive and to confirm the expectation that the lithium demand throughout the world will continue to accelerate at a very solid pace in the next decades. So the conditions are the right ones for us, and we are an important project to address eventual shortages or likely shortages that will come in the coming years. We all also know that the CRMA is now close to being in action. On May 23rd, it will formally be adopted. It will then unfold into actions by so many European entities, from financing institutions to entities supporting the ecosystem, to governments, to government agencies. Everyone will be way more aligned towards developing this lithium battery value chain. We have seen in the last 3 months an acceleration of the talks with all European counterparties. Everyone is reacting to this and is starting to put its act together. So this will definitely be something important that will support the development of the sector over the coming months to years. And we are in a good position to support that execution of this strategy that is ambitious. We will, I think, over time, with a few years of execution, we will show ourselves and some other players in the sector that it is ambitious in some aspects, but also conservative in some others, and that Europe will be able to deliver even more than what is expected here. And so it is a matter of executing. It is a moment of action. It is a moment of recovering some of the delays that we have against some of the other economic blocks. And it is an important and good moment for companies like Savannah that have been working and preparing for these moments for years now. A lot of announcements have been made in terms of new battery and cell plants and electric vehicle gigafactories throughout Europe. And there are also announcements of refining capacity that are either being planned or being built or getting very close to coming to production. We are now days or months away for some of them. If we put everything together, the announced capacity for 2030 is of 1.2 terawatt hours. This is big. Even if we consider only 70% of that, it still amounts to a need of 680,000 tons per annum of lithium. And a good part of that is actually in Iberia. Iberia has a very important and good opportunity to be part of this transformation that the whole sector of lithium to batteries to electric vehicles to electric systems needs to go through. So it is an important moment and also a good moment for those who are able to act. And we're seeing very good movement both in Portugal and Spain in some projects, and that is good news. To meet these European demands, a lot of lithium will be needed. Few players are working on it as we are. Most of them are integrated towards refining, and that's normally because they either have a technology or a mineral that requires them to do so. We have the advantage of working spodumene, which is one of the best feedstocks, if not the best, for most of the refineries and for most of the systems that allow us to get to batteries. And so we can proceed on this basis. And by proceeding on this basis, we are working towards filling a bit of a very big demand supply gap in Europe. That supply gap will need to be supported by some imports from the countries and from the regions that already produce or will produce more lithium minerals in the next year. So from Australia, from Canada, from Brazil, from other areas of Latin America. Savannah is one of the very few, if not the only, who is able to provide that directly from the European space with a spodumene that is battery grade, that is of a very good quality. And so we are in a position that is exciting and that will support the development of our projects. Where are we in terms of developing this project? Let me remind you of the basics first. So we are in northern Portugal. I will point, I'm not sure if you see my arrow, but we are basically in the north of Portugal. And by being in the north of Portugal, this is already interior of Portugal, but it's only 150 kilometers away from the coast. And these 150 kilometers are to be surpassed with very good highways. So access is not an issue for a project like ours. Access is actually quite good to very good. The land that we are set to occupy in our concession area is mostly industrial pine tree forests. We are not affecting a single house. We don't need to relocate a single person. We are in a region that has spare housing that can attract talent. And that is very good because we don't need to do things like some of our Australian or Canadian counterparts need to do. We don't need to do fly-ins, fly-outs, for example. We can develop our own workforce to be a workforce that is part of the local community, and that is also important for the local community. It provides opportunities, it provides for a better future, and that is also important. We have good access to power. That power is mostly renewable because it is already mostly renewable in Portugal and Spain, and in that sub-region specifically, we even have more renewable power than those 73% that are referred at there. And we should not forget that we are in the European space, but even more in the Iberian space. And Iberia already produces today more than 20% of Europe's cars, and new capacity has been announced. So these the vehicle industry in Iberia is a very important industry for both countries, and we are here to hopefully support it to ensure that it continues to be here and that it thrives over the years. The project is obviously of a sufficient scale to attract more refineries or gigafactories to the space. So by engaging positively with the sector and by developing to execution the project, I think we will be a good catalyst, as I have referred before. A bit of detail on the concession area. This is a slide that was already used also before. We're talking about a 600-hectare concession area. We have now measured, indicated, or inferred close to 28 million tons of resource. We have an additional exploration targets that we know today. We will work towards delivering, and we're set to deliver. You see in pink some of the other pegmatites that are in the region, the work that we have now in the concession, and also not in the concession, but the environmental approval is set to support us in mining Pinheiro, Grandão, Reservatório, and Noa. And so these blocks are already very much known and understood. We have most of the information that we need to deliver the DFS for those, and we still have upside potential that we will continue to work on. I would highlight the fact that we just announced a few weeks ago the highest lithium assay results to date. They were here in the Pinheiro area. They were a bit deeper than the base ore body, but they were still around the 100 to 150 meter depth, which is totally workable. And so we're very excited with these results. They confirm the thesis that there is more to be tapped. Many of you will also already have seen this slide. It shows the full footprint of the project. It is important to remind everyone that this is the full footprint over 20 years of work. So in any given year, we are not operating in all of these areas. We are operating sequentially, starting with Pinheiro, then going to Grandão, then to Noa and to Reservatório. And as we go to the second pit, we rehabilitate the first pit fully. We rehabilitate it to the current condition, and we improve the current condition because we can reforest with something that may be more native or more prone to support the future of the region than what we have today. You will also, many of you will also know that we collect our own water, that the plant that is here will work in a closed water circuit, which means that it will recover most of the water, that it will use low water, that it will have no effluents locally, that we will not use water from the local river. So plenty of things that were hard to ensure from an engineering perspective, but that allowed us to get an approval from the environmental regulator and allow us today to say confidently that we have a very solid and sound project from an environmental and from an footprint perspective. So not only are we providing for a very good quantity of lithium that will support the European industry, we are respecting the region in which we will work, and we are trying to bring the best mining practices to the area. We will talk a bit more about some of the benefits for the community later, but it is important to restate and to reinforce that this environmental approval was granted on the basis of very solid work and of ensuring a project that is very sound. The project aims at mining 1.5 million tons per annum of ore, and this will produce 190,000 tons of spodumene concentrate at 5.5%. It would also produce close to or up to 100,000 tons of ceramic feldspar and quartz, and that is important. The ceramics industry is an important industry both in Portugal and Spain. The glass industry, same thing. And so the fact that we can provide them with more material for their work, and actually high quality material because it comes out of our processing units, so it is a bit more concentrated already, is also important for the country and for the region. So that is also something that we are excited about. recovering some of the economics that we shared in the scoping study. They are attractive and they are good. We have a post-tax NPV of close to $1 billion, and this is associated to the 20.5 million tons of mineral resource that were approved under the DIA. This provides for an IRR and a payback that are very attractive. As important as that, the break-even spodumene price is $600 per ton. So as I referred, we are in a very solid position from a competitive perspective. We are also in that position even if we would have any capex or opex overrun. I can tell you confidently today that we don't anticipate those overruns at this stage, but we can tell you also that the NPV is not very sensitive to them. It is sensitive to the spodumene price, of course. It is sensitive to the discount rate. It is also sensitive to the recovery and to the grade. And on the grade, we continue to have good news. And so these good news have been shared, and we all know that we have a good grade throughout the concession area and the bits that we will work on. On the recovery, the assumption that was used for this NPV calculation was quite conservative. We have continued to work both at a lab level and at an engineering level, and the benchmarks that we have today seem to point towards the fact that this conservativeness is perhaps a bit excessive. We will continue to work with that number today with tremendous confidence that is a very achievable number. We have used this cost curve. This one is by Jeffries. There are other cost curves by Wood Mackenzie, by McKinsey, by Goldman Sachs, I think. This one seems to be quite robust. Most of them point towards exactly the same order of merit of all the projects globally. What is relevant for us is that we have done the maths, and based on all the information that we have today, we would be positioned right at the 50th percentile of the global cost curve. And this cost curve is for the current production. And we must recall ourselves that this global production is acceptably good enough for current demand. It is much shorter when we look at the global demand in only 5, 10, and 15 years' time. So the whole cost curve will evolve as demand and supply evolve. And given that normally new supply is harder to get than previous supply, we anticipate that we could perhaps be in an even better position in the future. So we can work these projects well in the current price conditions, and we will continue to be able to deliver a very good project with very good economics in every market scenario. On to recent activities, and although we have updated you on a few of these, it's still worth going through them. We have advanced well towards the FS. We still want to deliver it by the end of the year. I here can show you a bit of the design of the processing plant as it is today. Our Australian team is working hard on this. I remind you that many of the team members that work on this have years, if not decades, of experience in the lithium industry. They have worked with the likes of Greenbushes, Pilbara, Mount Marion, and others. And so we are very confident that we have here, including into this design, the best knowledge of the sector. The other thing that is relevant and must be said is that there is no rocket science here. So all of this is kind of mature enough technology at this stage. In the lithium space, you don't have anything as solid and stabilized as spodumene concentration, and so the plants that we are preparing here is quite, I would say, bread and butter. It requires lots of work still, but there is no significant technology risk here, and that is also important. It is a key differentiating factor between our projects and a few of the other projects that we see in the region and a bit also outside the European region. On the Portuguese side, the site team, which has grown and is now more and more Portuguese and local, is working on all the other fronts, on the resource, geotech, and hydrogeological drill program, on preparing supporting infrastructure, on permitting, on land access, and on many other things that are important to speed up the delivery of the project. I have referred this, the results of Pinheiro and Reservatorio were very good. We see some levels of mineralization that are global benchmark, I would say, and not many projects can say that they have close to 40 meters, that's 2.21 lithium at only 38 meters of depth. So some of these numbers are really, really good, and they reinforce that the project is of very good quality. So we are excited with this. We will continue our work towards phase 2 of the program that we're expected to do to deliver the DFS, but phase 1 has been concluded on the ground and will be concluded on the results over the coming weeks, and it has brought quite good news. The second thing we're working on is engaging with stakeholders, and here we have done a lot of work in the last 6 months, and we will continue to accelerate work. We have talked to absolutely, or not absolutely everyone, but very close to everyone, both at a local level, starting with the very small villages that are close to the concession area, continuing with the municipality, the local and regional entity leaders. We continued also to government agencies, to the Secretary of States, to local business leaders, to ambassadors, representatives of governments, universities, sector experts, NGOs. We are working today as an active member of 3 pan-European lithium-focused R&D projects. They're good projects and interesting ones that through which we help the lithium industry develop better and faster and with better technology throughout Europe. We have come to the local and to the national press and TV a bit more frequently in the last few weeks. We will continue to do this because we believe it is important to show what we are doing, to explain what we are doing, to show that we're here for the good. And we have had our team members at a few of the sector events, which is also important to spread the word on the value and importance of our project. I can tell you that in only 4 or 5 months of good work with a lot of boots on the ground, also locally, we already start to see good evolution of the receptiveness, of the understanding of the project. This will obviously never be with everyone, not locally, not nationally, and not at the European level, but it is with more and more people, and these more and more people are actually now supporting us. They're saying that we're doing the right things, and they're saying that they now better understand the project and that they start to believe that it can be a good catalyzer for local, regional, national, and European development. And that is great to hear, and it is encouraging to continue work. We're also walking the talk. We are trying to that we will deliver a project that serves the region well. We have talked recently more frequently about the return for the municipalities. It is an important, and it will be a very important source of revenue for the region, and that revenue can be used to better serve the people there. The other thing that is important is that many of these people are or will be our team members, also our colleagues. And so the good of the region will be the good of the project and will be the good of those who are part of this project. And we are very supportive of that, and we are trying to explain everyone that that is why we are there, to be good catalyzers of proper development and of benefits for all stakeholders. It takes a bit to pass this message. It needs walking the talk, but the pride for the project is now better amongst us, amongst our team members, amongst those who we relate with regularly. 60% of the team is already Portuguese. Many of those are locals. We already have some shareholders who are also Boutiques residents, and that is also great. It is great to go there and talk about our share price. It is important to see that they're believing in the project and that they're taking part in the project. It is a progressive effort. It is not an effort that is done. It has just started. And so we will continue to work in this direction, but I think we are making good progress in this front. We're also working on developing the various elements of project financing. I know that many of you were curious to hear more developments about the process we're running with Barclays and Barrenjoey. Time hasn't come yet to do just that, but we can tell you that we have engaged with close to 100 potential partners in all aspects of potential partnerships that we can have, be it through direct financing, through offtake financing, but also through purchase of other elements or sale of other elements that are important for the project. So we continue to work on better building a network of potential partners, and we will look at closing a few deals over the coming months that will be as good as possible for the current shareholders. That is our priority, and as good as possible to ensure that we continue on the right track towards developing and executing the project. This is also not news for you. You will know that we continue to build what we expect will be the right team to deliver all of this at Savannah's board level. In the last 8 months, we've had 3 additions, myself, but also Mohammed and Bruce. Bruce is a seasoned expert in the sector from BHP, from a few other companies that were juniors to executors. He helped finance various mining projects throughout the world. So he's an important addition and support to the project. And Mohammed is also a very good support in ensuring that we are aligned with who is currently still our main current shareholder at 15% of the register, close to 15% of the register. On top of that, the execution team is also continuing to be built. We have added 3 new important roles: Antonio, Tomás, and Simão. Antonio has more than 15 years of experience in communication and political strategy, both in Brussels and at the Portuguese level. He is now our communications manager, and the fact that you see now us a bit more active in media engagements also relates to his work. Tomás is an expert in negotiation, mediation, and also community relations, and he is one of the new boots on the ground that is very important, and he's been a good help in that front. And Simão is now helping me also speed up some of the business development elements for the Portuguese project. So he's a good accelerator of the work. Apart from that, we continue to have the Australian team that is mostly focused on engineering. We continue to have the London team that is mostly focused on governance, compliance, finance, and equity markets. But the Portuguese team is growing. As referred, 40% of the staff is now from the local area, and some of the next targets for the team are the mine manager and the plant manager, which are critical roles in accelerating towards execution. We would want to have some of these roles filled even slightly before the FS, so that they follow the finalization of the FS, they follow construction, and they then help us with commissioning and starting operation. On the timeline, no big news. We continue focused on executing, and we continue to want to deliver the first production before the end of 2026. And we hope we will have good news over the coming months because we will continue to do drilling in phase 2. We will continue to progress towards the FS. We will have a bit of a resource upgrades as we compile all these data into our resource log. We will continue to work on licensing elements, now more compliance than the license that we have, but there's also important work in that front. We will continue to progress in land access and acquisition. You know that we now have more than 100 land plots in the region, which is also good, and we will continue to reinforce talent and increase local engagement, media coverage, and the search for support for the project, which is also always an important help for the development of the project. We're now 40 minutes into the session. I am aware of time, and I want us to have a bit of time for the questions, so I will only highlight some conclusions. The project is sizable in terms of scale, and let me put this a bit more into context. If we had been operating in 2022, we would have been the 9th largest producer in the world by ourselves. Okay, we are still open to further extension and expansion. We are, we believe, a strategic project, and now even more with CRMA and all the other efforts that are starting to have an effect in the European energy transition landscape. And it is important that we deliver the project for all the European ambitions to be fulfilled. We are quite competitive, and we will work our resource at a good cost level. We are exposed to upside through lithium prices. We have this additional benefit of being able to serve the quartz and feldspar, the glass and ceramics industry through quartz and feldspar. The EU location is important, and I think will be a good catalyzer of value in the medium to long term. We are low risk in terms of technology. We are good in terms of value. We have good sector and market experience, Portuguese and management and industrial expertise on my side, on the side of everyone else in the team, mining experience. I will one of these days tell you that I'm a mining expert. I'm working towards being one. We have expanded and will expand the team. From a government perspective, we are very strong, and this has been a very important element of our project, as we had to go through a bit of turmoil in the last few months. If we had not been as strong and solid in governments, it could have been worse. And so this is why governments is so important. We are regionally significant and nationally significant, and we are focused on delivering something good for everyone, starting with shareholders, continuing with locals, continuing with everyone that would work and is already working with us, and with the communities that we impact and the region and the country that we will serve, but also the sector that we want to help catalyze. For questions, should I open?
Perfect. Emmanuel, let me just thank you for your presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, please do continue to submit your questions just by using the Q&A tab, which is situated on the top right-hand corner of your screen. But just while Emmanuel takes a few moments to review those questions that have been submitted today, I'd like to remind you that recording of this presentation, along with a copy of the slides and the published Q&A, can be accessed via your investor dashboard. Emmanuel, as you can see, we have received a number of questions, both pre-submitted and throughout today's live presentation. And if I could just hand back to you just to read out those questions where appropriate to do so and give responses, I'll pick up from you at the end.
Thank you. So where can I start from? There was a question, there are a few questions around whether we're just seeking to serve the car battery chain partners, or also looking at other energy storage partner options. There's another question on technology development and risk. I will try to answer both to start with. And so to clarify, those who are not specialists in the fields, we focus on preparing spodumene concentrates. And why is that important? Because by preparing this spodumene concentrate, we basically industry of batteries and actually uses of lithium. So we can serve the EV industry, but we can also serve the batteries, the stationary batteries industry, and all the other battery industries. It can feed bicycles, 2-3-wheelers that are very popular in Southeast Asia or in India. It can feed home batteries, it can feed industrial battery systems, lower high-end cars. We're agnostic of that. You can also feed LFP batteries, NMC batteries, NCA batteries, solid-state batteries, semi-solid state batteries, you name it. All of these will require lithium and will require the lithium of the quality that we know we will serve. And so that is important. If you want to be exposed to the battery industry as a whole and be a bit more agnostic of the winning technologies that will develop, then with us, you're basically serving all of this. It is less known by many that solid and semi-solid state batteries require a bit more lithium actually than liquid state batteries. Okay, so they don't require other things. They do require other things, but they require as much or even more lithium than the current batteries. On the other question that was associated to sodium batteries, the question was whether our view of the likely effects on the lithium markets of the sodium batteries, whether it could be good, whether it could be bad. Let me tell you that there are probably more than 50 technology development paths in the battery technology space at this stage. They will lead to better production costs, to better performances, to better uses, to longer ranges, to longer uses. They will lead to all kinds of positive developments. All but one require lithium. And there are very good reasons for that. And these good reasons start with basic chemistry and with the periodic table. So lithium is really the relevant element for the development of mobility, but also many other applications that will require battery systems more and more over the coming years. And when we see sodium developing, I actually see it as neutral to positive in some sense, and I will explain. Sodium batteries have and will have a space, and there are kind of a safety valve for the sector. If there wasn't an alternative, we could be faced at some point with tremendously high lithium prices that would serve us very well in the short term, but very poorly in the very long term. Okay, and they would kind of force systems to find alternatives. By having sodium batteries, when you go into the upper thousands and close to the tens of thousands of spodumene prices, well, we start to talk again about sodium as an alternative, and that is quite kind of healthy. Volatility will be a feature of the lithium market for a few years to come. This is not the first commodity market that I work with, and for sure it is not the first commodity market for many of you. Cycles are part of commodity markets, and even more when these commodity markets are developing and are growing very, very fast. But it is also healthy that there are some safety valves in the system. It allows the system to mature a bit more, better, and faster. So I would say neutral to good, an important element to ensure that the path to maturity of lithium is accelerated. And I actually welcome and cherish all technology developments that are being worked on by so many people throughout the world. There are a few questions, and they are very understandable on financing, on partnership, on offtake agreements, on EU grants, and other fronts. I will say I'm sorry. I will not be very explicit about the answers. I will tell you that we have already a set of good, interesting options on the table, and we will want to have more options on the table. We will privilege good deals over speed, and you will have seen that our cash position at the end of the year last year was quite solid, and it allows us for the luxury of making the right choices for our shareholders and for the execution of the project. So that's what we are focused on. I can tell you that we have engaged with many potential partners. We will deepen the work with a set of them. We are just doing that. We have already a few options that are at a negotiation stage, but we will want to make the right decisions, not fast decisions. So I beg you to be patient and to trust that we're doing the right thing. Yes, so production was targeting 26. We're mentioning end of 26. Yes, the timeline is quite clear and it supports it. Those who are experienced in the sector will say that it is demanding to execute everything that we need to execute over this time period. But for now, this is what we stick to. So the timeline that I've shown you and that gets us to the FS by the end of this year, recap by early next year, construction next year, and production by the end of 2026 is the timeline we stick to at this stage. Landholders and mayor and land access, there's also a question about that. So as I referred, we continue to progress with friendly acquisitions. I think we are offering very good terms for those who want to sell. The Portuguese legislation allows for other solutions in terms both of land access and compulsory land acquisition. We are obviously aware of those solutions. There will eventually be a moment in which we will resort to them. That moment hasn't come yet, and so we continue to privilege friendly acquisitions and friendly deals for access. And I think we're seeing good progress in that front for now. So the strategy for now serves us well. The more we engage positively with the local community, the more we address some of the fears that exist in the local community, the more we address the backlash from this smaller instigator group, and the more we are present in the local and national media and explain that we are doing something positive, the better for many things. And one of them is friendly land acquisition agreements. There's another question on whether any minister from the new government said anything about lithium or your project since they took office. So two answers to that. So the first one, the government is quite new into its role. So it's only been a few weeks. We need to allow them time to go through all the fronts that they need to go through. But the answer is yes. We have already seen clear vocal support for the development of the industry. Clear vocal support for two things: respect for the communities, good and proper execution of solid projects, and development of the lithium industry. And these are not antagonists. These are three things that are very important. They are very important for the country. They are very important for any government that will be in place, and they are very important for us. That's what we want to do. It is sometimes not fully understood that this is a project that is not delivered when we install things. It is delivered as we progress with production, year over year, decade over decade. And that is done with our team on the ground. And our team on the ground is and will be more and more the local community. So there is no the local community on one side and us on the other side. There is us as part of this region, and as hopefully good catalyzers of opportunities of development and very good respecters of the local heritage, of the local values, of the local resources. And that is why we have this project that respects water, it respects land use, it respects local people, and so on and so forth. It takes a bit of time to convey this message to everyone, but we are making good progress in that direction. And yes, the national government will continue to be supportive, in my view, just because this is one of the good ways in which Portugal can contribute for the development of solid industries that are important for Europe. And so I would say that it is apolitical in the sense that it is important for the country and not for party X or party Y or Mr. X or Mr. Y. Deadline for land acquisition, I think I have answered that one, I hope. How long will it take to construct the new access road? It is a good question. I can tell you that at this stage, we already have preliminary designs for the road. We have already engaged both locally and nationally with the entities that will want to approve and to comment on the road layouts. And this is relevant because this road is meant to serve our project, but it is also meant to serve the local communities. There are obviously roads in the region that serve these local communities, but a few of them are quite sinuous, they're quite dangerous, they're not the best accesses to the highway or to the bigger villages in the region. And so this road will also serve them. And so we want to make this something also positive for everyone in the region, and that is why we will want to welcome the inputs of many in terms of the layout. In terms of executing the road, we're trying to put it as much as possible in parallel to executing the project, and so as to have it ready when we start, or very close to when we start shipping our product away. Will be good for everyone if that happens that way. Another interesting question. I'm passionate for energy transition, and as many of you know, I have worked in various other fronts of energy transition in the past. So the question is, will solar panels be put on the water pond stores to create energy and slow evaporation? It is a good idea. It is something that we have seen already in Portugal in various dams, in various water dams. It is being developed more and more. It may be a very good solution. For now, it is not part of the plan yet, but it can be a good addition and a good upside later. So yes, there are actually even a few other solutions that are related to renewables that we can add into the project. They're not the priority, because the priority is to get the project to production, but they are clearly some of these elements that a good, solid and interested business development can add into the project as we go. Another question, whether there will be visits to the production site for shareholders. It is a very good idea, and one that we can certainly pursue. I can tell you that we have had hundreds of visitors in the last months, and this has been as I referred, industry peers, ambassadors, government bodies, NGOs, just people who are curious and want to know more about the project. So definitely, if there is good interest from shareholders, we would be very happy to welcome a few to sites as we go. Logistics needs to be worked on, but for sure that can be arranged. So the answer would be yes. Other questions that you may have?
Perfect. Emmanuel, what I might do is I might just jump in there. We've just hit the hour, and I just thank you for addressing all of those questions from investors. And of course, the company can review all the questions submitted today, and we'll publish those responses on the Investor Meet Company platform. But just before redirecting investors to provide you with their feedback, which I know is particularly important to the company, Emmanuel, could I just ask you for a few closing comments?
Well, this is a session that is a bit limited in terms of the ability to interact, but I hope that the answers provided to the questions and the presentation was useful. I hope we will continue to be able to do this. I think it is important that we keep the dialogue open with the shareholder structure. We are very much engaged and very much committed to executing these projects. We in the team firmly believe that we're doing something good for everyone, and that we will be able to deliver tremendous value as we go. So looking forward to your support and to your continuous engagement, and looking forward to the next session like this. Thank you, Alessandro.
Perfect, Emmanuel. Thank you once again for updating investors today. Could I please ask investors not to close the session, as you'll now be automatically redirected to provide your feedback in order the management team can better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete, but I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of Savannah Resources PLC, we'd like to thank you for attending today's presentation, and good afternoon to you all.